Hello, I'm Deberia from Deberia's Naturals and Jesus Evolutionary Empowerment. Welcome to my channel. Uh, I have a channeled message for you all, so let's begin. So, the Great Divide is happening. I've been shown in visions, and this over the past 2 years or so, I've been shown visions of like a cell being going through mitosis and splitting apart. And the divine was showing me that this is how the earth is doing. It's an ascension. So it's pulling away all the from the negative realm or lower vibrational energies into the higher. So there's polarities taking place because the earth is going through an awakening, and we are her neurons and transmitters, and we're her spirit, and what we as we go through our awakening stages in our dark nights of the soul and stuff like that. Now the earth has to go through the same thing because the earth is a entity, is a being, is an energy of her own. She don't need us to be an energy. So if she's going through this ascension process, and we're all doing these things on a micro and macro level, when you are a cell yourself, you know, you are a singular part of a larger body or collective. So spiritually, you go through an ascension and you experience this in your mind, your emotions, and your behavior. Well, you being a microorganism on the world, on the earth, then as you begin to change on a molecular level, because you are her molecules, then she begins to change on a molecular level. So what you're actually going through is something that's already taking place in your body. Is DNA activation. It's ascension. When I'm channeling, my mouth gets dry. And so, as you're being activated and we're evolving because we're going through an evolutionary process, and we have been, but sometimes spontaneous evolutionary processes take place. That's known. This is something that we discovered as fact. So somebody spiritual telling you about it should not be something so unbelievable that the spirit community got the same information as the science community. But they got, because they got the same freaking source. How do you think scientists are inspired? They're inspired by the divine. So whatever. And then the spiritual people got to understand how to explain it to the science people, so they got to be intelligent. This is the community of spiritual people, of leaders and stuff like that. They have to have gone through things to tell you and express these things to you and to teach you. So this isn't coming from a place of, oh, they just came out of their head. Oh, they just made that up. No, they experienced it and they're sharing it because there's someone else out there who experiencing it too. And if it ain't you, that's fine. It's fine if that's not you, because that's not your story. That's not your method of receiving information. We were all born with different methods of receiving information, and you might fall into a category where that ain't it, and that is perfectly fine. But the great divide is happening. And what's happening is people call it different things. The believers are being separated from the non-believers. The wheat are being separated from the tares. The high vibrational are being separated from the low vibrational. Stuff like that. Everybody got different ways of describing it, what's going on. But what I kept reason why I chose to write The Great Divide was because I heard a song and it's been playing in my head over and over again. And I was like, it was saying something about the Great Divide is something on the other side or something like that. And I was like, where did that come from? It came from Tinkerbell's Secret of the Wings, where Tinkerbell discovered that when she was born from a baby's laugh or something, that she was split into two. She had a twin. And while she was Tinkerbell was, in this world where it was always bright and beautiful, sunshine, the sister was always in a world that was cold. Not necessarily dark or dreary, but it was cold. One had summertime and one had wintertime. They were letting you know that these things are connected. These are sisters. The summertime and the wintertime, you can't have one without the other. There's a balance that exists. And so it was saying that on this cartoon, Secret of the Wings, her sister's wing was broken or something, or her wing was broken, and they discovered that if they matched their wings together, that they would heal each other, and also were able to heal something, something about the division between the people, or the different groups of I was gonna say angels, fairies. Anyway, my point is that's what's going on with us now. We got twin flames in here who are healing themselves and healing the broken bonds, and going through the transformations and stuff like that. But collectively the world is waking up. But at the same time, someone has to go through this stuff first. Someone has to go through this stuff and sound like the crazy people, because they have foresight and they have knowledge that isn't known to everyone else. And they're like, oh, none of that stuff is going on that they're saying, because when you didn't believe them back then when they said it 3-4 years ago, now it's happening. And now they're like, okay, this is what I was trying to tell you. But you don't know that during that 3-4 years, when they told you, they had to go through a process to prepare for it to actually happen by themselves. So when they did make that preparation and they had to go through the stuff, because they have foresight, so they experience it. Y'all don't realize that when people got foresight, they can experience the stuff before it happens. And so they going through all these transformations, and you thinking that their life just falling apart. Well, what's happening is they're being prepared because you didn't believe. They're being prepared because once it happens, someone has to guide the people who didn't believe, who didn't prepare out. So this ain't about somebody thinking that they're superior to you. When y'all be thinking that these folks, they had this foresight or knowledge, these prophets and stuff like that, that they think they better than you. No, they just trying to help you. They not trying to tell you that they don't have any of these faults that they're telling you to heal. They're telling you what level that they learned, they mastered. They telling you that's the level I mastered because I went through that. That's why I can tell you don't do this, don't do that, because I went through it. And I'm trying to guide you through it where you get the smoothest route, because all of us still got to go through it. I just prepared for it. So I don't know if any of that made any sense. It's just, I just wanted to get that out there. It's saying something about bridging the gap, and that's what these individuals are doing. They're bridging the gap between the two dimensions or realities, and they bridging the gap between the two levels of consciousness. Well, there are multiple levels of consciousness, but there are also levels to the readers, the seers, the prophets. What on what scale they experience and see things is for that level. Because we're all connected, y'all, in like this great chain that's circling around. It's quantum entanglement, our souls with these flesh vessels. It's quantum entanglement with one another, with the twin flames and stuff. Basically, what I'm saying is, if we saw, sometimes I see the world as a grid, and on that grid is every opportunity, circumstance, and choice. And when I see these types of things, I'm able to help people by showing them what parts to connect so that they can be whole, so that they can get the story, so they can hear from the divine too, so that they can experience what it feels like to be in your authenticity and let your light shine and be yourself, and not be an oppressed or suppressed version of someone else's expectations. So that what they're doing is bridging this gap, so that there's someone who's experiencing it on both sides, so that it's people need to gain information and cross between levels of consciousness and dimensions. What I'm telling y'all something is micro and macro. So if you can imagine this as though it's cells or synapses in the brain giving information, that's exactly how we work. It's energy. There's nothing new under the sun. Doesn't mean that it's a million candles like that, but there's a million ways to get light. When God is saying that there's nothing new under the sun, he's not saying that somebody made this exact necklace. It's that people making necklaces. There's nothing new under the sun. including your hairstyle. But how many other people will never have this exact curl pattern? Everything is gonna be unique. We are shifting from unconscious existence based in the primal instincts of survival and coping into a empowered, accountable state of existence. You can create your own reality. And what does that mean? Like, yeah, your mind, you sitting there thinking that you're a millionaire and you're fucking crazy because no one else can see it. No one else can see it because they're creating their own reality. They're not going to believe what your big dreams are if they can't even have big dreams themselves. That's why it's important that we interact with people who not are like us, but are on our level, or have a shared journey. So if someone is, going to be an architect, they need to hang around with other people who build things. They need to have an interaction with that, group of people. Anyway, the different realities during mitosis, it's gonna say the different realities they're coming together. Now, how are they coming together when you just been talking about them being divided? As this cellular mitosis takes place, all the energy, all the important stuff goes to the middle. All the important stuff goes to the middle. Okay, it going to the middle. See this little space? That's the little space that they have. So everything is being raked from here and pulled here. So what are they going to be doing? They're going to be closer together. They're going to be colliding. This is a particle collision that we're experiencing and calling it an awakening because we are a conscious aspect of a greater, larger being. So how we function here, if we are the Earth's brain, how we function here is how the Earth is going to function. And if we choose in our minds to be negative and to experience fear and experience horror and just atrocities, then that becomes an antenna frequency receiving and transmitting to others around you. But if we choose to not let the darkness win, if we choose to be conscious and be mindful and be positive and trust the process, trust the universe, trust the divine, trust yourself, trust your own inner voice, your own intuition, your own thought, trust your dreams. If you could just get there, then the Earth's consciousness would be an enlightened one. Let me break that down. If I think positively and I love myself, then I'm going to think positively of everybody and love them, because it won't enter into my mind to think malicious, negative thoughts about someone. So if I vibrate at that frequency and others around me are vibrating at that frequency, then we won't live in a society where you have to create two realities to exist. You got the false reality that you are being forced upon you, and then you got this lie that you're telling yourself so you can cope with the false reality. It's time for us to wake up, y'all. Time for us to wake up. Like a sleeping giant, it is time to wake up. When I saw in Bridging the Gap, I saw fear. And I had been seeing this vision of like demons and skeletons coming out of someone's closet. But then God took the closet. So there was no place to run, no place to hide. Everything is being called to the forefront for judgment. Everything is being called to the forefront for judgment. And this is old stuff, new stuff. This is things in the ground. This is things in the atmosphere. This is witnessed by the trees and the birds and, things that have been here way longer than us. The mountains have witnessed what's going on with the earth. And then the scriptures say that if you don't praise him, the rocks will cry out, and then there'll be no place to hide. There's no place to hide because vibrational frequency is like a transmitter that allows the universe to pinpoint exactly where everyone is at every given time. Why do you think humans want to be able to control and see everything? Because their parent, the universe, wants to be able to control and see everything, but then allow the chaos. Is it making sense, y'all? It's all the same thing on different levels, and we all understand the same thing, just at different places and levels and perspectives and maybe even expression. We could share the exact same experience and neither one of us experience it the same way, but we're all experiencing it. You know what I'm saying? Have grace with each other. Because hearing that somebody's demons gonna come out of the closet don't mean be afraid, and it don't mean sit there and say, that's what they get, because yours coming out too. And if you don't have any, the miracle that you are, that you don't have anything that you've ever done wrong ever in your life, you will be held accountable for the perspective that other people had of you. That puts a whole nother weight on your mindfulness of how you are, how you treat others. So basically it's going to say that everybody who looked like they was or thought they was right about something going to find out where they were wrong, so that they can have the humility and grace to forgive the other person. It's about people thinking, oh, because they look highly spiritual, they must already have them a seat at the highest of the high tables vibrationally and earthwise. No, it don't necessarily mean that, because their gifts is not going to be taken from them just because they're an asshole. They can be an asshole and have their gift, and they misappropriate it according to whatever judgment that they have within themselves. Because people thought God was going to judge you in front of everybody like this big screen reading your whole life. But no, God judges us internally, because God is in us. There is Christ consciousness. There's a spark in us. There's whatever is causing our life to exist within us. That's got to be part of the Creator. So if part of the Creator is in us and we were created in His image, then why not realize that we're being judged internally on the inside? And that is why people are having emotional breakdowns and crises, and they having heart attacks and anxiety and all this stress, because on the inside, that voice, that ego voice, the truth voice, whichever voice you want to call it, whatever you listening to, that's what's going to bring your whole life to your remembrance and start making you face the things and triggering you. If you don't really quite get it, they're going to trigger you in an area. You'll be like, why I keep on having problems in relationships? Because there's some damage there in the area of relationships, based on something that you experienced in the past that hasn't been healed. So all of this is healing, and healing is, most people will tell you healing is painful because things have to grow back together that have been broken apart or torn loose or repurposed. You know, so it's painful. But this is what we're going through. We're going through surgery too, because to heal us, so that as many of us can evolve and survive. Bridging the gap, fear demons. Okay, God to the closet. Oh, and there's also telling you, stop trying to dump your stuff on others. When you go through this process, and when you start seeing other people going through this process, have grace and understand that everybody that's accusing you of something is not always accusing you of something that you actually physically did. It's something that they perceive based on something they would do. So you don't see what's there all the time. Most times people see where they are. What they are. So a liar would always be thinking someone else is going to lie to them. So likewise, someone who's always looking for the good and want to share love will always see people wanting to do good and share love, even if that's not the reality. Even if it's not the reality that everybody's a liar. Now you're just paranoid because you know you be lying, and you scared that if they lie, it's going to trip up your lie. So it's like, anyway, it says some went through before the masses to help aid and guide, but you still have to go through it yourselves. We are vessels of proof that it can be done by those who choose to do so. Those who decide to remain stagnant will no longer vibrate at all. Choose to ascend. Earth's awakening is followed by a dark night of the soul. Choose to ascend because Earth's awakening is followed by a dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is when things begin to fall apart and have to be recreated. So what does that mean? The earth is about to fall apart so it can be recreated. You can't create something on top of something that already exists. That you can only modify what exists. And so far they've modified it till it is not. It can't go any further. Honestly. Not constructively. So we're having to destroy it so that we can recreate it. It's saying, be ready. Earth is about to explore her darkness. We are her consciousness, and we are commanded to fear not. So as we are going through this stuff, we are commanded not to fear, not to be afraid. Why are we commanded not to be afraid? Because this is happening for us, not to us. I learned something about birth charts and about the planets, the placement of the planets. Like if they're all clustered in a certain quadrant of the birth chart, then it could mean that you have more internal battles that you have to fight, and while some people have more external battles where their stuff is going to be out in the open, like they might have a lot of, money problems, they might, their relationships might always be public to everybody, and then there are other people who have very private internal things, but it affects them in their external world, just like the external things affect people in the internal world. The point is, we need to have some grace and forgiveness for each other, because we're all about to go through this and we're all going to experience it different. And we are all going through this. Everybody is going through an awakening, a shift on some level. We are all experiencing this. So don't hurt each other, because we're already all hurting, because we're all going through this together. If you have to pull away from some people and maybe not, have consistent interactions with them, that is fine. Do what you gotta do to not get hurt or be a victim or create one. Because everybody's gonna just go through different stuff, but some of you guys, I just gotta tell you about your divine counterpart. For those people who this resonates with, who is twin flames, your counterpart is going through this shift just like you. They're going through this stuff just like you. They hurt just like you. They're scared just like you. They experience pain and agony and being ridiculed and being a black sheep, and they, just like you. And just like you learned how to mask it and still smile, they learned how to still look good on the outside and have their money flowing and going. So that's what I'm saying. That's a parallel strength, because that's a masculine and a feminine energy. But y'all going through the stuff together. So don't think that this person, just because they experience and express it different, is not experiencing this shift just like you. They might be saying, man, no, I ain't ready for it. They might be saying, I don't even feel like believing in this because I don't want to create it. But they experiencing it too, even if they seem like they in denial that it's going on. So it was just saying, for your divine counterpart, if you're feeling like you're stuck or at like a standstill, is because they have to do some internal battles, or if your partner feels like y'all stuck at a standstill, maybe because you're doing internal battles that require them to stand still and face And you are required to rest and chill, because if you are feeling fatigued or tired or drained, sleepy, your masculine or counterpart may be pulling on your energy portion, light, or pulling on your light for support and strength, because the change is, shift is for their journey. Okay, because the change and the shift is for their journey. They have one of those too. They got their own journey that they going on. It ain't all about you. And your soul benefits from the transformation as well. So as they evolve and they go through their transformations, you share a soul. So the ultimate whole benefits when the parts do their job and when they elevate and restructure. So take good care of yourself, because spiritually you are also showing up to the battlefield, and you may be feeling that. This will bring you closer. Abide in understanding, even if it has not yet been revealed to you in the 3D battles. The battles that they are facing. Remember, they have to experience their journey as well, and it won't always be physically shared experience with you in the same perspective, because you share a soul, not a mind. Though you have a telepathic, spiritual, emotional, karmic bond, you maintain your autonomy. Yet it is what it is. What God has joined, no man can tear apart. The quantum entanglement, this is you both. It will all unfold for your best outcome. Powerful changes are taking place at this time. This person is very spiritual, but they may not always show it, because sometimes we don't stand in our power. We don't own who we are. We don't own our gifts. You'll be like, dang, I can't be psychic. I can't be intuitive. I can't be able to jump that high. I can't be able to fly. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is for you. I can't, sometimes there's a voice inside your head that tells you to dismiss or disassociate yourself from your passions and your truth. And you can't listen to that. So if you gotta start owning your abilities, owning your power, and knowing that this is my power, this is my ability. Sometimes it ain't about being cocky or anything, but it is about being confident. Because if you can't trust yourself and have confidence in yourself, if you can't have confidence in yourself, then you can't trust yourself. If you can't trust yourself, then you can't listen to yourself. If you can't listen to yourself, you're going to listen to everybody around you. And what if they ain't listening to themselves either? This is literally the blind leading the blind, because no one has any inner knowing in and of their own. They have to awaken to this, owning their power. Your counterpart. This is what they're going through. They have a journey to a process. They have a journey and a process to their acceptance of their gifts. They may because they feel okay. So they might have been just not owning up to some aspects of themselves. They're facing their truth. They're doing like internal internal inventory of themselves. And what they're realizing is that they might have had a limited perspective on themselves. Some of these, your counterparts have very big, huge gifts and callings on their lives, and they are afraid to step into it. And they're having to go through and fight the mental battles so that they can step into their greatness. Their stuff ain't on the outside like yours. You might be showing physical experiences of feeling like, you're not meeting the expectations that you've set for yourself. But this person's going through something too. So it ain't always about you. But it is always about you. Because all you can do is worry about you, work on you. But you can't expect that person to stop and take away from their opportunity to work and learn it on themselves. You can't take that away from them just because you want them with you. because you feel like you're ready. It takes two. This is an agreement that has to be made, and it has to be, executed. It ain't just an agreement that's made and no one's doing it. There's work that needs to be put into collaborating and being in a relationship with another person, because you got to learn yourself so that you're not trying to take on and trying to learn from each other who you are. How that work? How you have to learn from somebody else who you are. Yes, we can teach each other lessons and guide each other along the way, but we all trying to find the same thing, and that is ourselves. He has to work on that limiting perspective of himself, just like you have to work on your limiting perspectives of yourself. Be mindful how you direct your energy. What beliefs are you putting your energy into? Be mindful of that. That's what you need to be accountable for. Because if you're going to be, it's not about watching somebody else, worrying about what somebody else doing. Be accountable for how you allocate your energy, whether that is, and your gifts, because those are your resources, your spiritual gifts, your energy, your calling, whatever it is that's great in you that you do, and you might not even think it's so great, but that's because you ain't put it out there for it to be experienced by other people who would benefit from it or want it or desire whatever it is that you create. And this is why I encourage entrepreneurs or people who are inventors or creators, go create. Go make something. Go do it. It don't have to be like if you dreamed about having a whole car factory, that where you manufacture cars. Start with your drawing. Start with your concept. Build a model. Share what it is you have with the world. Anyway, what is this? Okay, so excuse me. You have the ability to create miracles if you know how to manage your mind. Managing your mind isn't about just believing something. It's about the laws of attraction. You don't have to work tooth and nail, grind all the way down to your bone to accomplish your dreams or to have what you need. These things will be attracted to you and provided to you. But there's you have to trust, you have to trust the universe. A baby is born and has no choice but to rely completely on the universe. I was listening to this lady saying this, and she was saying that everything is provided for, and there is no choice but to trust for your survival. Then you become awakened and conscious, and then eventually you grow out of trust in the universe. And that's why scripture says, be like a little child. You can't enter into the kingdom because you can't perceive it. You can't perceive it because you've lost that sight as you grew. This is how we fall also, because look how quickly children will forgive and how they don't allow prejudices of other people to shape their perceptions of each other until they start growing up, because we taught them that. And by I'm talking about anybody who has had an impact on someone else's life. And that's everybody. Be mindful of how you paint on them canvases. Everybody around you, even including you, you are a work of art. You are a canvas, and everybody is painting on everybody. Be mindful of what you're painting. That's what energy are you putting out on the people? What ideas do you have of them? Most times, honestly, I have no ideas about nobody because I don't sit here and consume my mind with worrying about what other people are doing. I don't, because I'm focused on me. I'm focused on learning and growing for me. I'm focused on being a better me for my children. So I don't have time to sit and think anything negative or malicious for someone else. That's a waste of my energy. I don't care what they say or how mean they are to me. However they treat me, I'm not gonna sit and obsess about causing them harm back. And people say that makes me stupid or slow or retarded. But I'm just not gonna meet you where you at. You come meet me where I'm at. Let's see if we can have a nice conversation and enjoy something and experience something beautiful. Come meet me where I'm at and experience the miracles of God. I don't have to come down there where you at just because you miserable and you angry and you want to spark mean things. I'm in the glory. I am in peace and in rest, and I am abundantly blessed, and everything that I need, want, and desire comes to me because I trust God. I trust the universe. And I'm just trying to teach you how to do it too, so you can experience it too. Shit. Why are people trying to pull you down where they at? Because they don't want to be alone. Why people trying to pull you up where they at? Because they don't want to be alone. It's just as lonely and miserable being in bliss and harmony and peace by yourself sometimes as it is to be around a bunch of people who hate you. Because you feel like that is your perspective.